In the data modeling exercise, we determined that we needed 4 tables, one for each entity. In this case, it was the customer table, an orders table, and a products table. We also determined that we had a many-to-many relationship, which required us to add a new join table that we're going to call the order line item. So in this movie, we're going to talk about how to add these 4 tables to your FileMaker database. And this is also the first time in the data modeling process that you're actually opening up the FileMaker Pro application. So after opening up FileMaker Pro, you'll go to the File menu and select New Database. You'll see a dialog appear on screen, and FileMaker is asking you what you want to name your new file and where you want to save it. So we'll choose the desktop, and we'll leave the name untitled. And once we've made those decisions, we can hit Save. And now you'll notice that it's created a FileMaker Pro database for us and taken us to the quick table view for our untitled layout. But we're not done with our table setup. So from here, let's go back into the File menu, and we're going to pull up the File Manage Database window again. And we're going to concentrate over here on the tab for tables, since we can't create things like fields and relationships until we've already got our tables in place. And right now you'll see that we've got one table in our list, but it's called Untitled. So it's a good practice to name the tables in your database after the entities that they represent. So since we don't have any entities for Untitled, why don't we rename this one Customer? So if we select the existing table names, you see we have it highlighted. Go down to the box next to table name and type in the word Customers. And instead of hitting the Create button, we're going to hit the Change button, and you'll see that that table has been changed to Customers. So now we have a table in our database that represents the Customers entity. And we've got 3 more entities that we need to represent as tables, so let's add those to our database. The next one will be Orders, and this time I'm going to hit Create, and it's created a new table for us, and we'll say Products, and I can either hit the Return key or click on Create, and then finally Order Line Item, our 4th and final table. So we've created one table in our database for each bucket of data that we discovered during our data modeling exercise. FileMaker Pro has now created a table inside the database and one default layout for each table that we'll see in later exercises. Once we've created these tables, we can move on to creating things like fields. And in the case of having multiple related tables, we can now move on to creating relationships between these tables. But all of that begins first with creating the tables inside of our FileMaker database.